Hey folks, I'm here with another practice SQL interview problem. I will pick one here. How about, I'll just do this first one, Google top percentile fraud. So I'll start the timer since it's designated as a hard question. I'm going to try and do this in 7 minutes or less. And as usual, I've not looked at this beforehand. Let's get started. ABC Corp is a mid-sized insurer in the U.S., and in the recent past, their fraudulent claims have increased significantly for their personal auto insurance portfolio. They have developed a ML-based predictive model to identify propensity of fraudulent claims. Now they assign highly experienced claim adjusters for the top 5 percentile of claims identified by the model. Your objective is to identify the top 5 percentile of claims from each state. Your output should be policy number, state, claim cost, and fraud score. Okay. And let's take a look. Oh, okay. It's just one table, and I mean, it has the exact columns they're asking for, right? They're asking for policy number, state, claim cost, and fraud score, and that's what we have here. So let's go ahead and start writing our code. So we need to identify top 5 percentile of claims from each state. Okay. So the very first thing we need to do is exactly what they said, identify the top 5 percentile of claims from each state. But to do that, we need to figure out what is that cutoff point. So to do that, we will need a window function, percentile count. We want the top 5%, group order by fraud score. Is that what the column is called? Yeah, fraud. I'll just copy and paste it here just to make sure I don't misspell it. And we'll want to order that descending because we want the top 5 percentile. So we'll call this fraud, P05 fraud score from the fraud score table, and we're grouping by state. Let's see, does this work? Okay, good, it works. So I'll just make this into a CTE, call it prep, and then again, we'll be selecting from fraud score, and we'll join prep. I'll talk about why in a second, and I'll alias the table names just to make it a little bit shorter. We'll interjoin them by state. And what we want is we don't want all the records from the fraud score table. We only want the records from the fraud score table where the fraud score is greater than or equal to the top 5 percentile, because that's what they asked for. And then we need some very specific columns. I'll just copy and paste so I don't have any typos. Policy num, state, let's see, claim cost, and fraud score. And do they want us to order it or anything? Okay. Let's see if this works. Oh, I need to alias this state. Okay. All right. So looks like we got it right. Let's do a recap here and figure out why this is hard. Okay. Well, there's only one table and there's very few columns, so that's not what's hard about it. I think the first thing that's hard is that the prompt is pretty long, right? There's all this context, and just to read this can take a minute or two just to read it and understand it, right? Really, I would say these first 2 sentences don't really matter. I mean, for the purposes of the interview. Really what matters is here, and it's hard to know, what matters and what doesn't. I think you just have to do a lot of these. But if I sort of recognize, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't really care about this. I don't need to fully understand this. All I care is that, we've got this table with a fraud score, and I have to identify the top 5 percentile from each state. That's really what's important, not all of this stuff. So I think that's the first reason why it's hard. The second reason, I guess, it requires a window function. If you've heard me talk about in previous videos, look, I get it. Window functions, especially in the middle of an interview, it can be nerve-wracking. But my recommendation is to just get on Stratascratch.com or any of those other SQL practice websites and filter for questions that requires using a window function, and practice a bunch of those. And just don't even let that be a weakness. Just do like 20 of those, and then you'll at that point you'll have memorized the syntax for window function, and that will become easy. So yeah, window function, that could be another reason why it's hard. And then I suppose the third reason is it does require a join, so that you can filter for only the claims where the fraud score is above the top 5 percentile. So I think that's the last reason it's hard. Hopefully this was helpful. If you guys want to practice, there's a link to Stratascratch in my in the video description. I find it really useful for practicing SQL questions in order to prepare for SQL interviews at tech companies, specifically like product analyst or product data scientist type roles. All right, see you guys next time.